Hello, I am here with my whiteboard, and using the chair here to prop that up. So that's what I just knocked into. And I would love to know if you're hopping in here on the replay, hashtag replay. Those of you showing up with me live, let me know as we go. If you have any questions, I am going to be powering through quite a bit of information. I went ahead and got started with my awful line drawing here just so that I could cut some time down because I have a lot to share with you about how to plan your blog. And we're not talking just blog posts, but the overall blog on your website and how that's going to come into play with all of what you need to keep in mind when you're planning it out. If we have not met before, hi, my name is Stephanie Gurry. I am a blog content writer and editor for women coaches and consultants looking to save time with planning, creating, and updating their blog posts so that their content can live longer in search results to attract more clients. I would love to hear from you. If you already have your blog, do you feel that it is already organized? Or do you think that there is some improvement and possibly some extra content that you could cut because it's not adding any value to your website? Let me know if that is you. Just either a hands up emoji, a yes, anything else along those lines. Let me know that you want to improve the organization of your website. Ultimately, as we are going through this, we're going to make sure everything is simple. So this is not going to be overly technical. I'm not going to get into the details of a particular platform. If you want to talk about anything like that, I am always open for the questions. So let me know if you are working in WordPress, Squarespace, or even another website platform entirely. So to get started, overall, this structure is how different sources of traffic is going to find your website. And it's cut up into different layers here based on which one's most likely to be seen. Up here, there's one place to get land. Down here, you've got a lot. I didn't actually count it out, but this is a pretty fair representation of what your website will look like. As it gets further into the details, you'll have more opportunity to show up in search results. So to get started, up here is actually going to be your website homepage. It could be your about page, and also your contact page could potentially show up in search results. So this is going to be the high tier web. It is not easy writing sideways on this. Web pages. Does that show up for you? That does not look very good. Let's see if blue works better here. And that's why I have a few options for you to check out. All right. Web pages, much better. That is going to be a lot of the stuff that you'll want to be keeping in the header menu, the navigational options. That will include also your services page, or if you have individual landing pages for multiple different things, that would be your next tier down right here. You'll have an offer. Let's see, we'll call this landing pages. Landing pages. We got the low tier, the medium tier, and the high tier offer. Just to give you a basic overview of what this looks like. Then on this tier here is going to be the topics, the cornerstone posts that lead you to that offer. Now, if you have a very streamlined offer suite that's all typically within the same program, It might be you start with 1, then you go to 2, and then you go to 3, as opposed to being 3 different options that you could start with either 1 or have you go 1 to 3 without having 2 at all. You may need to tweak this a little bit just because based on your particular offers, but you will need to have pillar content, cornerstone content that is related to the actual offer that you are selling. So that is going to be this right here. Cornerstone posts. And at minimum, especially if you're just starting out, at minimum, you want 1 cornerstone content per offer. And that's going to be grown upon as you add more content to your website. But ultimately, 3 is the kind of standard that we try and plan out so that we know the overall projection of where we want to go. But it's going to take time to build up that content bank. So at first, you want to make sure that you have at least 1 in each topic that you are going to be talking about that directly relates to the actual offer on your landing pages. And then down here, you might have guessed, are the blog posts. And there is a lot of blog posts for each cornerstone post. Ooh, S, there we go. Hopefully you can read that. So how many per, there is no maximum amount, but the overall ratio that you try and strive for is somewhere between 10 to 12 blog posts per cornerstone post, and somewhere at about 3 to 9 cornerstone posts per offer. So that's a lot of content. And right now that can be overwhelming when you have no idea where you're going through with all of this. So we don't want to try and look too deeply at that. We're going to take things a little bit at a time, especially when you're just starting out or just reorganizing your content that you already have. You want to make sure it fits in so that it is organized and that your website reader, the blog readers, are going to actually be able to find the content they're looking for so that they can get to know you, your offer, and if you are the right fit for them. So let's see, make sure I got that. All right, so when it comes to all of this, there's a few different steps, 5 steps for planning and implementing that strategy to make sure that this all works so that you're being found. I'm going to erase this, unless you need a screenshot right now. All right. And all right, let's do the blog. That one seemed to be easier to read. For your blog, you need to make sure that you actually understand what your goal is. So the number one thing you need to make sure you have planned is, what is your goal? Your goal can be anything from getting a content viewer on your blog post to show up in search results. That was at the bottom of the triangle here. At the bottom of the triangle, you're going to have a lot of viewers coming in, taking a look at that content. From there, you're going to be linking between other posts and then also up one level to the actual cornerstone post. So it's a much more thorough content that is going to answer all sorts of questions on that topic. It may look like a frequently asked questions kind of guide. It may be an ultimate walkthrough. There's a lot of different formats that a cornerstone post can take, but it will help educate and inspire the reader to take action. And from that cornerstone post, you'd want to get them to the landing page. And that is the ultimate goal that you'd want to have. However, with this flow of traffic here from the original blog post, cornerstone post, and then the offer, you have a few different goals that you could potentially try and achieve. And that's going to be unique to what you want to do and the future vision that you have. Perhaps you want to focus on building your email list. You might have an opt-in that you want to provide for them to go ahead and sign up for. Perhaps you have a conversation that you want to have with people to do some information gathering. You'd want to go ahead and have links for them to make sure that they can contact you. And you want to make it super simple for whatever goal it is that you're trying to achieve with your blog, that they can actually take the steps necessary to achieve that goal. And perhaps another common goal might be that you want to be seen more. And so you'd want your content to be shared. You'd want to make it super easy with all the shareable buttons at the top, at the bottom. Maybe there's a few different spots in between, like a tweetable line that you'd want to have someone go ahead and just click and tweet to their own profile. There's a lot of different options for how you can make your different goals very achievable. And that would be how you'd make sure that you are making the overall strategies to support the goal. Okay, number 2 is market research. Market research is going to be the conversation that you'll have to make sure that you are understanding what pain points your ideal customer or client has. What are they struggling with? How long have they been struggling with it? Why do they feel the need to make changes now? You may think that they have a certain threshold for their pain point, but it is not proven to be this what you thought it was. Change is uncomfortable, and a lot of people have a fear of unknown. It is human nature to fear what they don't know. And even though the other side of change can be a better outcome, the evolution of change is a really painful process that many people resist, and therefore they'd rather stay comfortable. You want to make sure you really understand that pain point and what gets them motivated to make the changes. Hence, it's emotional based. You want to make sure that you're actually talking to people to understand what those pain points are and how we can help them see that there is a better option. And that option is your offer. Okay. That market research will also help you with what kind of words to use in your copywriting and in your marketing message. And it's just going to overall make your business so much easier to run because you know what to say, because your ideal avatar, the ideal person that you want to be reaching is telling you what you should say to them. Okay, number 3, you'd want to figure out the topic and keywords. Ooh. Okay, so the topic is going to be about 3 to maybe 8 different categories on your blog that's going to support the offer that you have. For example, if you are a health coach, you might have an offer that is based on an exercise program, based on food tracking, and based on self-care. And those 3 categories could easily be broken down to more mindset topics, and how to take care of yourself and your body. It could be broken into a nutrient category and what kind of diets are out there and why you don't want diets but actual lifestyle changes. And then also potential exercise programs. So it's 3 different topics. They are pretty broad in that example, but they can be broad or they can be very specific. It's just enough so that it can support your offer and educate the reader to know that you and your style, your method of coaching or consulting, the way you do things is going to work with what they believe in. Some of your content is going to have to challenge their beliefs. And you can find out what those beliefs are that you need to try and help them see differently in your research of topic ideas. Your keywords will also help you determine what kind of content someone is already looking for. That's your validation. And it can help you actually show up in search results since you know what type of content your ideal person's already looking for. That's going to be what you want to write about. And then number 4, we're going to create your content calendar. Your content calendar can be as in-depth or as simple as you want it to be. It can be a Google spreadsheet, or it could be a whole intricate system where you have it on a Trello board with all sorts of different checklists and automations included in there. You could have different cards that it decides to. You could have your links included, the images, or it could be just a notebook filled with blog post subject lines, titles, with a keyword and a date. It's ultimately going to be what works best for you and how you operate, the way you plan, the way you organize, and if you can actually find it again the next time you want to come up with a topic that you're supposed to follow. If you work on creating that content yourself, that's going to have different consideration than if you have a whole team of people working in different parts of your content creation process. If you need more, I'm definitely willing to talk to you about the different options. Let's see here. And then number 5 is what I find to be my favorite. After you've created your content calendar, then you got to create the content. There are a few different steps in creating your content, but if you want to make sure it is the best value and that it is authoritative and then also compelling to the reader to not only actually read instead of just skimming and then bouncing, then you'll want to make sure that you do some thorough research, which includes making sure that the content you're creating is just a little bit better in some form than the content that's already ranking. Do you go more in depth on a particular topic within the content that you're writing about? Do you add in an example that is much more elaborative and therefore easier to understand for a different way of thinking of information? Perhaps you have more visual information to help process the information. So if you're not just reading content, someone would be then looking at maybe it's a graphic, maybe it's a chart or a pie graph to process the information that's being presented. Makes it much easier for the consumer to actually take in that information and process it. And Google loves sharing that kind of information. As long as it is valuable and comparative and better than what's already ranking, that's the kind of information you'll want to have included in your content. There are a few different ways to research the other options that are already ranking. But a lot of times it's just doing a simple Google search for what you want to rank for and seeing what's already up there. After research, that's when you would want to outline. You get an idea of what's out there already. What questions do you need to answer yourself? And then fill in the blank with your own expertise. You already know the stuff. You just need to see what it is that's already out there, how the search intention behind a particular key phrase might have been different than what you thought you were going to be talking about with that particular content. Then after that, you'll want to make sure that you actually, check the grammar, check the spelling. It makes sense in the way that the content flows from beginning to end. You're basically editing and proofreading the content to make sure that it looks good. It's professional without necessarily having to have a tie on, so to speak. We're not necessarily in corporate unless that matches your brand voice. That's just one of the many various considerations for whether the content is valuable and matches your brand. Beyond that, you want to make sure that there's keywords included and that it does not read like a robot tried to write that content. So the keywords actually flow logically within that content and that it is clear what your content's about. I try and do that after the editing to make sure that the value is there before the keyword. Keyword stuffing is out. Make sure that it is all about the actual reader's experience. That is key. And then beyond that, that's when the formatting and the actual publishing and distribution of the blog post comes in to make sure that you are not just publishing it in a more visually appealing way, that it's optimized for your particular website's theme, the platform, but you're also getting traffic showing up. Part of Google's ranking factors is also the social shares. So if you are sharing it to social media, that helps boost it a little bit. Now, 1 or 2 shares versus no shares is not going to make much of a difference, but if you can increase the viewership, if you have an audience on social media that would like to share that content, that can help you get it to a wider audience, that will help for sure. And sometimes it can be just as little as 10 shares will make that much of a difference between your piece of content ranking higher than the next piece of content. Does this all make sense? I kind of plowed through a lot of this. I got a few more minutes here. I want to make sure I answer your questions. Let me know in the comments. I have a content breakthrough session available this month. If you want to go ahead and book one so that you can discover how to save time with planning, creating, and updating your blog posts so that your content lives longer in search results to attract more of your clients, then I want you to go ahead and go to stephaniegary.com/breakthrough to fill out the short information there. Book that. It's totally free. The content breakthrough session so that I can help you get your business moving further faster, because it's all about getting that content to show up in the search results to attract your ideal clients. And if I can help you do that, I would love to help you save time. All right, I am not seeing anything at this time, so I will go ahead and call this a day. And I will follow up with anyone else who might have questions. So thank you. I hope you learned a lot from today. If you are going to be making adjustments to your website, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is and what you're going to be able to go do for your content. All right. Thank you.